Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Thank you very much for joining me. Tonight, I am joined by Stu Hill from the Northeast and Glen, who's known as GPE on YouTube. I will put a link to his channel down below. We're just having a general chat about cryptids and Bigfoot reports and what goes on in the UK, because there's not a lot out there for the UK Bigfoot researchers, is what most people think. But you'd be surprised to find just how many researchers there are out there. Now, both you guys have been researching in your own areas for, we could say, a number of years now.
Yeah.
And there'll be lots of newcomers coming in who are a bit unsure about what they're doing. And now we're all on lockdown. It's an ideal time to just put some videos out. I'll put this out probably Friday, so while people are listening to this, there will be a chat box going at the side, so you can have a chat. Leave some questions if you have any for the guys, and next time when I bring them on, I'll ask them those questions. So, an interesting thing that's come in, an area in the northeast, not too far from Stu, is many people will know is called Clevedon. Now, there are two reports of an upright, hairy creature, we'll use that word, on this one lane in the Clevedon Hills. And today, and I've been sent a newspaper report. Armed officers at Clevedon Hills as manhunt to find assault suspects continue. Basically, what they're saying is stay away from the area. There is a very violent man on the loose, and they are trying to catch him. And it did make me wonder if, conspiracy theories aside, this could be a ploy for tracking whatever that is moving up and down in those woods in Clevedon. Now, I know that sounds really far-fetched to some people, but a number of years ago, you probably remember Raoul Moe. Probably got his name wrong.
Yeah, I remember him.
He was out for a while. Well, one of my friends was with a police officer who was actually tracking him, and they said that they followed a heat signature that looked like a guy with two backpacks on, and they followed him for about 8 hours until they were called off the job, because Raoul Moe had been found dead in a completely different area. So what had they been tracking was this police officer's question. So you know the area, Stu. Could you hide out up there if you so wished?
Absolutely, yeah. The area that were tracking them through was Simonside Forest, and that's littered with caves. Absolutely littered. Personally, I hate the place. It gives me the creeps. But it's littered with caves, little culverts, all sorts of places to hide. Really dense forest as well. It's all pine, Scotch pine, stuff like that, but it's dense. That was the place I was telling you, our wild camp years ago with some friends. And I spent the night awake, stoking the fire. There's no way I could have slept up there. But yeah, it's very, very easy to hide. Surrounded by moorland as well.
See, it's a massive corridor. There's a huge corridor that runs out probably from Hull, in all honesty, all the way up till you reach the border at Scotland. And most people think the hotspot is near you, Glen, in Staffordshire, because there's a massive amount of reports along that trend. Yeah, and you research not too far from there, don't you?
No, yeah, the Trent, as a crow flies, is probably about 2 miles from my house, and Cannock Chase from the Trent is probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles away at this closest point. So, and it does run from kind of the centre of the country up to the northeast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a hub, if you know what I mean. You've got Wales, obviously, to your west, and then obviously, your south, north. It all comes into this kind of area. So it's a good theory, really.
When I saw the report, it made me think. I thought, because there are reports of the army following cryptids. I'm going to use that word. One in Northern Ireland that jumps to mind, in the Sperry Mountains, where the creature was followed downhill by a number of guys in camo. One of the the interesting things that came up, and I forgot to mention it, one of the BBR members, who is a serving officer, I sent the report over to him, and he said, I find that really strange, Deb, because that gun that he's carrying is a rubber bullet gun.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to kill whatever he is that they're tracking. They want to bring him down, obviously, with this rubber bullet. And I found that really interesting, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure in the report it said that he was armed. I mean, don't quote me on that, not until I've read it all. But it was just when he said, because they've not named him or anything. They just said that this man, at 1 o'clock in the morning, they started looking for a man on the Cleedon Hills. And he's heavily in camo, and not to approach anyone if you see anyone in the area in camo. And there's a lot of people up there in this shoe that are probably going to be wearing camo.
Oh, yeah. So that makes me think, you see, Deb, when they're saying, you know, he's in camo, do they mean a ghillie suit, which has been misidentified as hair?
You just don't know until we get more on the news report. You just don't know, but it makes me wonder. A lot of people say to me, do you think the government know? And I can't answer that. I don't, you know, I'd be lying if I said I knew. But I think that they do. I theorise that they do, because people have had Freedom of Information Acts back where they've mentioned upright hominids and werewolves. So I would presume if the police know, then the government knows.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it's something that we can answer. I mean, you guys would probably know more than that than me. Yeah, I'm so... All I ever do is Bigfoot reports.
But if he is armed, if that is the case, there's no way that they're going to hunt without having proper bullets. You know, if that is the case, so that would, you know, if we find out that he is armed, that's definitely alarm bells if it's for rubber bullets, because that just doesn't add up.
It is a strange one. It's just with me, because it's very rare that you get 2 reports on the same road or lane. I mean, same area maybe, or same set of woods, but to be actually on, because both of the witnesses were not too far from the road. But I mean, it's still rural, isn't it, up there? It's not urban in any way, shape or form. Not too far from the coast. But I know from Cleedon you can nip to the coast, can't you? Or you can nip into the Simonside Hills. And then we've had a recent report of one of Fell Wanderer's friends, Tony, got in touch, and he made a report of something growling in the bushes. And I wanted to talk to you about it, Glenn, because he said he was up in an area that he knows well, and he was walking towards the bush when suddenly something within the bush let him know that he was no longer alone.
Right.
You've kind of been in that situation. I know Stu has as well, but you've kind of been in a similar situation to that.
Yeah, I must admit, I didn't get a growl, but definitely there was something in the bush that was bigger than a fox or a badger or what we would expect to be wildlife in Britain. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I was about 10, 15 yards from it, and it was a big bush with a stream that run through the middle of it. And it was, about 15 meters long, probably 10 foot high. It's a good kind of scrubby area anyway. And as I approached it, there was just this huge thump on the floor, like a stomp. That's all I could put it down to. And I could feel it through my legs, it vibrated the ground.
Right.
And then that stopped me in my tracks. And you think, what the hell is that? And then within that split second, then the whole bush shook. And it wasn't just like somebody, like a kid or somebody. The whole, the whole thing just shook for like a second. And that it definitely freaked me out. And it was like, I'm out of here, It was just such a weird situation. Never come across anything like that before. And looking back now, I can only think it could only be forest folk. I just can't see what else it could be.
Well,
in the same area you found the print?
Yeah, it's all within it's a little wood that's only been planted about 16, 17 years ago. And in the Midlands, in Derbyshire, Staffordshire, and Leicestershire, about just over 2001, 2002, they started something called the National Forest. So they've taken like farmland and old bits of wood and added onto it, and they've basically created what they call the National Forest, and this is part of that.
Yeah.
So it's just outside my village, and it's probably about half a mile long by about a mile wide, just a big rectangular piece of farmland that it was. There's a stream runs through the middle of it, and it's just, like I say, I'm in there within like a couple of minutes of leaving my back door. And when I first got there, I didn't expect to find anything because it's new woodland.
Yeah.
But looking right in the middle of it, that I found loads of sticks in trees and just the usual stuff.
Yeah.
And so I just found that I thought it was a perfect place to start gifting. I can visit there anytime I want. And that was 3 years ago. And since then, it's just gradually increased kind of the activity as I think they get to know you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I've not had any sighting. I've not heard anything. I do have an interaction going on with the gifting. So I'll leave an apple and then like a set of sticks that I make a little glyph, like my little sign. And every time I go back, the apple's taken out the top of this tree, and the glyph's changed. And so I take a picture of it every time, how the sticks were laid, and then what they look like when I come back.
Yeah.
I'm always looking out for if people go in there or anything like that, but it's an isolated place. You have to climb over a barbed wire fence to get in there. There's no paths nearby. So it's, how could I put it? It's as secure, if you know what I mean, as you could expect.
Yeah.
And either I've got another researcher changing the sticks, thinking he's interacting with me, who's a Bigfoot, or the other way around, you know. So it's just like it's just increased, and it's fascinating, you know. What
I've had, no, not anymore, but about 3 years ago, I had some real good interactions. He just started gifting, and he was like a number of tricks and things that you kind of do, like putting your audio recorder out in a tub and all of those things. And I found that if I just left patterns, and I'd go back and those patterns would be changed, but then the builders moved in and completely got rid of that wood, so that's over and done with for me now. I can't do it anymore. And he had a little bit of luck with marbles, just changing the pattern of the marbles. And I know you have to.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. I'd leave the marbles in a certain pattern. I was using the big marbles, you know, like the big ones. So, you know it's not a magpie taking one of those. And I always used to leave 2 blue, 2 green in a pattern. And a couple of weeks later, I'd go back and the green ones would be gone, but the blue ones would still be there. The next time you go back, there's 2 blue, 1 green.
Right.
You know, so either somebody's following me in and hiding, and when I'm coming away, they're taking a marble, you know, and then going back a couple of weeks later and putting it back and changing the pattern.
Yeah, and it's not an easy place you're researching either, is it? I mean, you've got to walk in.
Yeah, a fair walk in, yeah. I found oatmeal cookies were a big favourite. But it was something we were talking about, you know, when, you know, if you found something to eat in the woods that somebody had left, would you eat it yourself? And, you know, you wouldn't, would you? So I started, whatever I was leaving, I used to stand and eat one myself, you know, just to show trust, just to show I wasn't trying to poison anybody and it was edible, you know.
Yeah.
And that's when it started taking off, you know. The cookies would be gone, the marbles would be gone, and then would come back. And then I went up one day, and there was two pigeon feathers lying in a cross shape right where the marbles were. No. They're not going to fall out of a tree and land in a perfect cross, are they?
No.
I've still got them, actually. They're up on the mantelpiece. And,
Same.
uh,
Same. I get the same. Same now. Well, I mean, it's got to be 12 months since I've been out, to be honest, properly. But if I'm in an area and it doesn't matter where I am in the country, I tend to find white feathers and I follow them, and I always end up at sign or structure or, whatever you want to call it, kind of thing. Because we don't know, do we, for definite what's going on, right? But we're talking as researchers, this is what we do, this is our hobby. So there is a mass amount of what's classed as Bigfoot sign out there. So what I'm hoping to do over the, as no matter how long it takes, I think, as we do these round tables, if we show one sign that we can't explain, like, and in a minute I'm going to show the ground sticks, where we're saying, we can't explain this away. Is there anybody out there got an explanation for it? Is it something that you're doing? And then if it is, we can put it to one side and concentrate on the next thing. So one of the things, so that's what I was thinking, we could do that. That'd be kind of useful. And also, anyone who's interested in getting out and looking will be able to see what we're looking for and saying, we think that this is anomalous and it stands out enough that you should be taking photographs of it. And honestly, I would say have a little diary and jot down what you find, when you find, because you'll think you're only going to do it for a couple of weeks, and if it gets you, you're going to be doing it for years. And you need to remember, whoa, this was it. Like the deer leg, for instance. There's a deer leg that goes up in Scotland, and it always goes up autumn time. So it's year after year, not obviously a different deer leg, goes up in the tree, and it's always around autumn time. So you can start to see a pattern over 4 or 5 years where you're going, well, that is definitely happening. So I would say, well, let's put that sign out and we'll see if anyone else can match it. And we did that, didn't we, in BBR? And lots of people had deer legs hanging up in trees, which is just, why? I can't even think of a reason why. Yeah.
And, if somebody's out deer, legally or illegally, they're not going to waste meat, because it's one of the best cuts of meat on the deer is the haunches. They're not going to waste that, and hang that up in the tree and take the rest of the carcass.
And or make a sign saying, "Look, poachers here." It's not going to happen, is it? Yeah, no. But I couldn't get over it, mate. It was just the amount of, and then there was full days in trees, which just. I mean, I suppose we could put that down to cat behaviour, but these were bloody big deer.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, could a cat do that in the UK? Could it? I mean, we know the cats are here, aren't we? There's no point saying they're not. But it just seems really. You found a bone in the tree as well, thinking about it, didn't you? It's your profile picture, Glen, on YouTube.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I found. Yeah, it's not sure what animal it's from. It's not that big. It looks deceptive on the picture. It's probably about 18 inches long, something like that.
That would suggest like a thigh bone or something, wouldn't it? Or,
it's definitely. Yeah, I think it's a thigh bone, but from what I'm not sure. But
it's kind of like weaved into the tree.
Yeah, it's like it's been stuck behind a vine. It's growing up the side of the tree. Yeah.
Strange. I'm just going to see if I can pull these pictures up of the sticks that I'm speaking about. I've never done this before, so just bear with me. Right, hopefully.
It's a good idea, Deb, to share these things.
I'm hoping it'll do it. One sec. There. No, I don't think it is. One sec. Hopefully, it'll do it now. Can you see any?
No.
No, it's not letting me do it. Oh, I'll try and find. That's annoyed me because I wanted to show it you. Oh, am I still there?
Nope.
No.
There you are.
Now, yeah. I'll see if I can pull them up on my laptop. 1 second. wanted to show them. Well, basically what they are is, I'm going to have to try and describe it, aren't I? The single sticks that are not very thick, probably about thigh or waist high. And they seem to be rammed in the ground for some reason. And a lot of the time, they will have like a snapped end. So the end's much lighter, and you can kind of see it in dim and dark light.
Yeah.
And the reason I ask is because we've ended up with about 80 or 90 of them. And a few people people who are into dowsing, have realised that these sticks tend to be on the ley line.
Right.
It's almost like a grounding stick, really, for collecting energy. And because I've been working with a guy called Mick McLaren, we've been working on ley lines because that's his expertise, his subject that he's into. Because I put some up in BBR before. I'm just hoping I can pull them up and you can see them. They seem to be, I know I'm waffling, they seem to be on where the energy is high or the energy is low on these nodes. And there's one BBR researcher way down in the south who started to follow them in the woods because a lot of them are pointing kind of a directional pointer. And he followed them till he got about 21. And at the end of the 21 was a very similar structure to one that you sent me, Glen.
Right.
Last month. But it was on a much larger scale than the one that you sent me. And I think he ended up with about 30 of these sticks in his area. So I said to people in BBR, have you got any of these in your area? And they tend to be around rhododendrons, which is another strange anomaly that we've come across. And juniper bushes. I'm not sure why, but there is a gent out there working on that, trying to find out the answer for that one. But I just wondered if anybody else, I was going to pull them up so that people could see them. They're coming through now. So people could have a look at them and see if they've got them in there. Let me make it as big as I can. So what you've got, it's just a stick, like, an ordinary everyday stick, and it's rammed in the ground. One sec, my internet is that slow because everyone's working from home. There we go. Right, you see, you probably won't be able to see it, but at the end there, it's muddy. It's just been rammed in the ground. There's no root on it or anything, and they just seem to. You see how they're just nothing. You'd walk past them really, and you wouldn't notice them. So if you're out and about, I mean, not many people will be at the moment, but have a look and see if any of those are in your area. And if they are, take a photo of them and send them in. Because really, I want to see how far across the UK they go. So have you seen anything like that in your area? Like just a stick rammed into the ground for no apparent reason?
I can't say I have, Dev. I've seen sticks sort of pushed into the ground and leant up against a tree, but never freestanding.
Right. What about you, Glen?
Yeah, I've seen them quite a few. I've never seen, like you say, that many. You say 20.
Yeah. Well, I think he's gone. Glen's having a bit of trouble with his internet, unfortunately. Yeah, you cut
sorry,
out
the break up.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
I've found one or two, at a time, but never more than like a couple in a row. And I've found them from like 6 inches sticking out of the ground up to probably about 3 or 4 foot high. But I can't find any. They're not kind of pointing to a water source or a food source. They just seem random for the ones I've found anyway.
Yeah,
unless it's some kind of route that they're on. But I've followed them and just ended up, in the middle of nowhere kind of things. I can't kind of correlate any reason why they're there at the minute.
I'm just hoping we can tag them to the ley lines because that would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
If they are using the earth energy, the geomagnetic energy, then those ley lines are very important to them. And the sighting reports match up. And that was another thing I wanted to show you tonight, because as I was telling you before, There's a gent that's mapped the ley lines. It's called the Line of Albany, which is England's first name. And it runs, obviously, from the south all the way up to the north. And it actually it runs across the area where I had my report and where the other people that saw the Salford Wildman, as they call it, directly on this ley line. And then it splits and kind of goes off this way. And I don't know that much about it, to be honest, to be talking about. I'm going to interview Mick in the week and have a chat about it so he can clue me in, kind of thing. But I was just thinking it'd be something we could put out there to people, because there will be people who are really good with ley lines and know them and know what's going on with them, and they could help us with a bit of info. Because, as we said before, Glenn, we want to try and find out if there's anything, if there's a ley in your area, if it's something we could look at. And then you could say, well, those sticks were near there, or, well, no, they were completely in another place, because they are quite wide. They're not like narrow little things. It's just one of the things that I wanted to bring up tonight.
We get a lot of sightings near ancient sites as well, don't we?
Yeah.
And they've known to be built on ley lines.
Yeah.
So it is a fascinating part of the research. It will be good to find out. Like you say, if there's one near me, but like get as many as we can mapped.
And just have a look, and just say, because you get lots of UFO reports along them, lots of like missing time, paranormal reports, that kind of thing along the leys as well. And it might be that it's the energy that it puts out kind of emits this phenomena or attracts it in some way, like a huge kind of battery. But it's just one of the theories that goes round and round in my head. They're important somehow. I mean, there's everything from, they just use them like a bird would use the magnetic map to get from A to B. They just know it magnetically like a bird would.
Yeah.
All the way to, they use that energy to orb, or whatever you want to call it, cloak, move around invisibly. That's another theory. And there are lots and lots of reports she will tell you coming in of these invisible life forms, as we're calling them. Like the Predator, the only other way I can say it, this glimmering movement of energy that you can hear and you see it move things, but you can't see it.
Yeah.
You know, and those reports come in all the time. And I was thinking about that with you and your shaky bush. You know, if it was something that was cloaked and
you'd never know.
You just would never know, would you? And that's what they say, that it could be right there and you just don't know. Because
I think that they are using energies a lot more than we can, and secondly than we realise. And I do think a lot of these structures have got something to do with either manipulating, either gathering energy or spreading it, or and the more that we look into it, the more we can kind of match results and see where it takes us. But I do think there's something to these ley lines, and it's definitely worth looking into. Definitely.
Yeah, I do. I mean, we think, because people say that the structure are dens and things like that, there's this misinformation that they're using them to hide within them. Well, that wouldn't make sense, because they're not covered in any way, are they? So you have an elusive creature sat in something very small that was way out there that people can see. I don't think that that's how they work at all. I think they would be in something far more natural looking, that's strategically placed with a decent back door, so they could go either way depending on when they were approached. I think they're far too clever to make a TP structure that everybody can see from the path. I just don't think that happens. But saying that, it might work like a pyramid where it intensifies the energy as it rises up. So those TP structures could be doing just that. Like a pyramid.
Are we seeing them as TPs where really they're crude pyramids?
It could be. It could be antenna. It could be receiver, depending on what they're doing with the energy. Same said about the arches. The way that the arches are locked in on one end, it's always as like they're connecting a circuit.
Yeah, they're grounded in it. They're grounding, aren't they?
Yeah, so I'd love to know if the energy below the arch is any different to above it or around it. And you can test that with anything from a dowsing rod all the way to an EMF meter that a spark would use on a job site.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like the EMF meters, the electronic magnetic thing. So I'd love to have a go at that, going near the arches and seeing if the energy is any different around them, you know? Because that'd be interesting. If we work that one out, they'd be tapping in for that reason. You should get a lot of orbs around arches. That's something that doesn't come up a lot with people.
Right.
If researchers are out at night and they're filming, around the arches, you get a lot of orb activity, which orbs to me is energy. I instantly think, well, that's energy tapping in. Maybe that's what they're doing, you know?
Maybe, huh?
More boots on the ground. So if there's anyone out there with an EMF meter, when we're all allowed out again, but we're allowed to go for a walk, aren't we? She said, we said we were allowed to go for a walk. So if you're out there and you've got one of those meters, or you're a dowser, or you work with a pendulum, have a look for us. If you find an arch, just test it out for us and let us know. Even if you say, no, there was absolutely nothing, well, we can scratch that off the board and think, right, well, what else could there be for? Because I was always told they point to water. That the pinned end points to a water source, you know? But I don't know, it could be anything, couldn't it? I mean, we could be here all night discussing what the...
Could be absolutely anything.
Like you say, it's just people testing all theories and putting them out there, and seeing if anybody matches with anybody else.
That's it, and just getting the conversation going and throwing the ideas around. It's really... I mean, speaking about the virus and not being able to go out, Maggie, one of our members, said to me, do you think there will be less sightings now because people are locked in indoors?
Right.
Or more because they've got a much freer range? And I didn't really know how to answer it because I thought, well, maybe it's both. I'm not sure, because so much of the public's locked in. They're going to have a much freer range, aren't they, to move around and, food and all kinds of... I think Glen's gone again.
Yeah, that's a difficult one to answer, really, isn't it, Deb? Because there's going to be less people out to see them, but the people who are out have got more chance of seeing them. That's a difficult question, that.
Yeah, it was for me. What do you think, Glen? It's hard, isn't it, to answer that question?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to get much difference, to be honest. But we'll see.
That's it.
I mean, are people going out round by you? Do you see people walking about, or because are you in quite a built-up area, Stu?
No, mate, I'm right on the coast. I'm in between two medium-sized towns. So in the towns, people are walking about. They're not paying any attention to what they're supposed to be doing. It's
what about you, Deb?
I'm right on the edge.
See people?
I've not. I've seen young'uns out. Yeah, the old young'uns are out like nothing's happening, and people start in garden having a drink, but most people my age are indoors. But I'm right on the edge of the town. I'm on a new build, so I'm right on the edge of like greenbelt land.
Yeah.
I know I've not normally you see a lot of dog walkers and that, not seen any of that. But the young kids were out on the ATVs today because it was sunny. So I think people don't seem to be taking it serious where I am. There's a lot of panic buying going on.
Yeah.
But then you should have seen the queue for McDonald's. It must have been a mile long. The night they were shutting McDonald's down, the queue, I've never seen anything like it in my life. And that was people just getting their last McDonald's, and it's just I couldn't get my head around it.
I think that sums it up, doesn't it? Really, That sums up the human race in one sentence.
Do you know what?
Well, I was talking to Pond Guru. He's up in the northeast, and he said to me, "People are panicking, Deb. Well, we've got electricity, we've got petrol, we've got food, we've got Wi-Fi, we've got houses. What happens when you take one of those things away? If something like this puts everyone into a panic." Spoke to him the day after. He said someone had been to his mate's house and took every single egg. Just utter madness. I just cannot get my head around it.
Yeah.
Do you know the stupidest thing I've heard so far? I heard I'm still at work. We're finishing off the stuff we've got in the pipeline, and then that's it. So I was working a day, and I heard a woman in the street say, "Well, the travel restrictions don't apply to me because I'm middle class." I stuck my head out the window and just looked at her, because she's middle class, that she can still do what she wants and go to her Waitrose and get her Marks and Spencer's special dinners and all that. Well, it doesn't work like that.
It's sad. I had to give me mum a Mother's Day present and leave it on the doorstep.
Yeah.
I'm scared of my mum getting sick. And then on the other hand, I see two young girls, my daughter's age, buying everything they could buy in Aldi. They must have had 4 trucks between them, piled high with stuff. So much so that she packed the car as much as she could pack it and left. And left the mate with the rest of the shopping. Obviously, they had that much they were going to have to ferry it between the houses. And I just thought, my grand's generation would be ashamed to death.
Would I?
Literally, ashamed to death. My gran, I said it to my girls like I'm an old fogey, but I said, my gran got married during the war. So her dress was made of parachute silk. And everyone in the street that got married wore it.
Yeah.
And they stretched every bit of food that they had. And this is it's completely the other end of the scale. It's like, well, I need to get 80 toilet rolls just in case. And buy every packet of paracetamol that's in the chemist just in case. Just madness. Yeah, you've got me on my high arse now with this one. But lads out on ATVs just driving about on fields like nothing had happened.
Yeah. I've seen groups of people jogging along the seafront today. Groups of 6 and 7 people all jogging together along the seafront.
Did you see the campers on Snowdonia? The police had to go in and bring them down. That was yesterday, Glen. People wild camping on Snowdonia.
Right.
I mean, it is confusing because he said you're allowed out for a walk and you must get fresh air.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I'm on the list, the 1.5 million that have got to stay in. So I knew when he did that speech on Monday night that I'm not going out for the next 12 weeks. And that's why we had to cancel all the meetings, which I'm absolutely gutted about. Because me and Stu should be in North East on Saturday, camping. Yeah. Now I'm not. I've had to leave my tent in cupboard. But it's not worth taking the risk, is it? It's really not.
Not at all. No.
So the conference will be off as well then, won't it, in May?
Yeah, what I've done is I've spoken to the hotel. Were fantastic. I spoke to them and explained the problem, and they said, "Don't worry about it. Just choose another date." So I chose October. I thought that's quite a long way off.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll be over the other side of it by then. But they just said to me, "Don't worry about it. We can just reschedule it. It's not going to cost me any more."
Cool.
So it's probably going to be October the 11th when we have it. Fingers crossed. Everything goes okay. There was a meeting in Sherwood Forest in June, but I don't think we'll get to do that. But I spoke to them and they were exactly the same. They said, "Don't worry about it, just postpone it. And then as soon as we're on the other side of it, you can just they just give me a different date. So we can still do it. Just not for probably about 3 months, I don't think. But I think people will be glad to get out by then.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we'll get some new people who come out. The idea of Bollum, the reason we were meeting at Bollum was because the sighting reports are actually there, just not that far from the Bollum, the cafe, the car park.
Right,
where
yeah.
The the idea being was Stu was going to walk them in and show them where the night reports had taken place. So that was the idea of meeting up in Balham on Sunday. And we can still do that, can't we? We can still do it. We'll just do it in a few more months. Yeah.
Aye, that's it. We've got all the time in the world, and as long as the sooner people start thinking and toeing the line and doing what they've got to do, the quicker this will be over.
That's the one. If we just bite the bullet now and just stay.
And if people don't, it's just going to get worse because the government will bring in more stuff. Everything will shut if people don't start behaving themselves. And
that's what my man said today.
So what
about you, Glenn? Are you all right? Like, are you going out, or are you? Because you've still got to work, I think, haven't you?
No, it stopped. Yeah, they stopped it on Monday. Because I've fit kitchens for Wickses, and they've stopped everything. But like I say, I live in a village of about 2,500, 3,000 people, and because of the weather, I think people have not bothered. They're still walking about. I've been out in the woods myself yesterday and today, but I've not seen anyone because where I go really is off the beaten track.
Yeah.
So it's at the minute I'm enjoying the break.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
So it's been beautiful weather. I don't really have much of I don't mingle with people. I'm not like someone that goes down the pub all the time or anything like that.
Same.
So it's nice to have a few days off work and get some sun.
There was a lady on Facebook and she said, just think of it as Christmas. At Christmas, all we want is 2 weeks off where we don't have to go anywhere, we don't have to do anything. So instead of looking at it as a bad thing, just look at it as an enforced break from what you would normally do. I've been planting, to be honest. I just thought I'd take advantage of the weather because I couldn't go out. So I put all my seedlings and everything, they're all on windowsill ready to go. Because I just thought, I know I'm a bit of a prepper, but I did think, if like food prices go up, I need to make sure I've got some stables in, some stuff that I can like eke us out, just to be on the safe side, because I'm a bit of a worry when it comes to
I do. No, I think that's wise, Deb, definitely.
So I've just done that rather than worry. I thought just get into that. So that's what I've done really. Mark made me some decent compost today. Got a big load going for me, so I've just been planting. Showing me what to put and where to put it. But I mean, I work from home anyway, so it's not really much different to me. I'm like you, I'm not always out and about.
No.
So I mean, I'll miss. He'll take me for a ride in the car. I like that because he'll take me for a ride in the car, and it's nice that. But we can't do that at the minute, so I will miss that. But it's not forever. It'll, eventually. It was sad putting my tent back in because he got everything out, got all gear ready to go, and then we was like, he had to put it all back away again. And I know Cassie's gutted, absolutely gutted. She is.
Oh, yeah.
But I just keep promising her because we can. I mean, we'll have enough time because I said to her, we'll go back down to Cannock because she's dying to get back down to Cannock.
Yeah.
There's loads of members down that end, so we'll definitely do that again. And then I think they booked me to talk in Suffolk, January, February time, so I can meet up with some of the members in the south and meet them. I'll arrange a meeting for them. But we'll get there. Just like I don't know, the universe is giving us a time out. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
She's definitely done with our but I can't say it, I can't swear. Right, well, I'm going to bring it to an end. Don't go anywhere, guys. Right.
Cool.
What I wanted to ask people is, if you would like to come on and just have a chat with me, Glen and Stu, just let me know in the comments or email me. And we will do the same again next week. And we'll bring you on and we'll just have a natter. Or if you've got a subject that you'd like us to discuss or a question or anything like that I can put to the guys, let me know and we'll cover it all next week. So thank you very much for joining me. The lads are going to say goodbye now.
Goodbye,
Yeah,
folks.
thanks, everyone. Take care.
Right, and I will speak to you all next week. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Cheers.
Come here, my phone's moving.